So obviously you smashed your target. It's like 233%.
Yeah, smashed it out of the park. We aimed for, the last fundraiser we did, we aimed for 400 and got 800.
Mm-hmm.
So we aimed for 500 this time and thought, I think we'd need a miracle to get to £1,000 in January when everyone's skinned.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we were really surprised, but so excited about it. So really overwhelming.
What was it like being out there, sleeping in a sleeping bag?
Do you know what? I think we were really concerned, weren't we, about the cold and and I was really concerned about wildlife. I'm petrified of rats and stuff. So
yeah.
I think that was the primary concern for us when we first went out there. Literally all we had was a sleeping bag. We had a bottom sheet underneath us.
Oh God.
And a pillow, and that was it. So I think we were really worried about the cold and the wildlife, and actually it was probably more the mental stuff that
we didn't think about.
Yeah, we didn't even consider being paranoid or feeling vulnerable. We did the sleep out in our local area. We've grown up here.
Yeah.
And actually we felt really quite vulnerable, just laying on the concrete in the street.
It was really strange because people would walk past, and chances are it's people that have also lived in Kesgrove their whole life, so nothing was going to happen. But every time someone walked past me and Laura were like, oh my goodness, what are they doing? Why are they here? Why are they walking past?
Oh my God.
Obviously, our senses were just so heightened. You could hear everything, couldn't you? We laid there and you could hear people in their houses. You could hear cars along the main road a mile away. It was really quite disorientating.
As soon as the lights went out as well, it was obviously plunged into complete darkness because we had no other lights with us, did we? We had a little bit of fairy lights that we kept on at one point, but complete darkness, can't see anything down the road. The fog was coming in, you could hear people in their houses, cars, everything, and it was just unreal. How much paranoia builds so quickly.
Yeah.
We spoke to a few rough sleepers before we did it. So me and Grace have been obviously going out and providing hot meals to rough sleepers, and they all know that we were going to do the sleep out, and we've sort of made it a bit of a joke with them that we're going to be joining them for the night. And quite a few of them said insomnia is a real issue for rough sleepers, and we've got one that quite often won't sleep for about 3-4 days, and then we'll try and find a sofa of a friend or get a hostel and end up sleeping for 3 days straight because he's so exhausted. And we didn't I'm quite a good sleeper. I thought I could sleep anyway. I'm on a long car journey, I'm the one asleep for the whole time. So we thought we'll be fine, and actually that insomnia is really quite real because your senses are so heightened and your adrenaline's just pumping.
And that's what they live every single day, isn't it, really? Every single night.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing it. One night was we got back in the house at 7 o'clock in the morning.
12 hours.
Yeah, and we were in bed straight away. We were exhausted.
Yeah. So what does all this money kind of mean for them?
So recently Anglia Care Trust took over the severe weather emergency protocols from Ipswich Borough Council.
Yes.
So SWEP is in place across all local authorities, and it basically means if the weather is forecasted to drop below freezing for 3 consecutive nights, then the council have a duty to bring rough sleepers in and temporarily house them. So that could be hotels or hostels. IBC came to Anglia Care Trust and said that they wouldn't be able to fulfil it this year because of COVID. They've given out their accommodations to other people in other risk groups.
Yeah.
So Anglia Care Trust sort of took over that and were immediately out and about picking up rough sleepers and housing them straight away. And really what this money is going to do is fund that service and hopefully make sure that if we do have temperatures like we do right now, we've got 1.5 foot of snow, it's -2 degrees.
Yeah.
We're really hopeful that, putting this kind of money into that service will ensure that we don't have any rough sleepers on the streets right now.
100%. I can't even imagine what it's like at the minute for them.
No, and although it is a reactive measure, we look at the weather forecasts and then, Anglia Care Trust act upon that. It comes down to safety. Homelessness is a massive issue, and it's not just going to be solved by funding. It's not going to go away overnight. All the money in the world. It's a really resource-intensive problem to address. But at least if we can react to the safety element, there's been in history, there's been, times in America and in the UK where rough sleepers have frozen overnight.
Oh, God.
Like, that's why severe weather emergency protocols are a thing. A couple of years ago, there was I think it was last year, there was a guy in America who, because of COVID, the hostels were all shut, so he went into a public toilet to sleep for the night, and he froze to death. Like, that's the sort of things we're trying to stop with this donations. Like, it's not going to address the overall issue of homelessness, but at least, like, it's at the point now with temperatures as low as they are today, like, people will die outside.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we need to try and stop that.
I think that's another thing that, like, isn't really addressed with the rough sleeping community. I think people obviously know, like, we get our rough sleepers and our homeless people and things like that, but people obviously will give them change or buy them hot food or do whatever they can for them, but I don't think it really registers what happens after, like, 11 o'clock at night, between those hours of, like, 11 o'clock at night until 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, where things aren't open, people aren't around.
Yeah.
I don't think it really register what rough sleepers go through within those hours.
It's easy to detach, I think, like, because it's not a situation we're all in. Like, it's easy to detach and just not think about, like, what are they going through in the night time, and actually, like, doing it for the night and living it, like, it's really quite emotionally, like, it takes an emotional toll on you.
Like, we had an old guy we called Roy, 73, was he 73, over Christmas, and it was just basically bad luck. His council house hadn't come through yet, and obviously between those hours, he's 73 years old, he's on his own, no family, like, he's not as streetwise as some of our other rough sleepers.
So he didn't want to be in the town centre.
He didn't want to be in the town centre, so he was out on, like, Ipswich docks and things like that, and it's just like, as soon as that crowd of people go, people like Roy are completely alone. At like such a vulnerable age as well. Scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely terrifying, and you've done a really good job in doing all of this, really, for it, because that is a lot of money for him, bless him.
So. Yeah, and this is the thing, like, rough sleepers, we got a bit of negative press from the Ipswich Star article on Facebook because, some of them don't want to be helped, and some of them have really complex drug dependency issues and stuff, and you take away all of that, it's -2. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
You can be the most complex and challenging person, but if it's -2 outside, you are not going to turn down a hotel room.
Exactly.
Like, and frankly, that should be the bare minimum we're providing these people. It doesn't matter if they don't want to engage. It doesn't matter if they've got complex drug issues. It's -2 outside, and actually safety needs to come before all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's human decency, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's human rights. Like, people will freeze to death outside. You could be the worst person in the world and you're still entitled not to freeze to death on the street.
Yeah, it literally is the difference between life and death with the weather at the minute.
It is, and that's why we're so chuffed that we raised so much money, because, like, £1,000 to a charity like Anglia Care Trust could be life-changing for its service users, and we're just so proud that we managed to raise that much money.
What would you like to say to everybody that's donated?
Firstly, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Like, it's overwhelming. Like Grace said, it's completely overwhelming. And a bit of a promise. Like, we promise that Anglia Care Trust will use this money. To help our most vulnerable people in the community. Yeah, it's going to a good cause, and I can sit here as a volunteer for them for the past 6 years and say confidently that they are going to use it to change people's lives. Like, that's the difference. Like, people have donated 10, 20, 30 or sometimes £100, and that is really going to change lives.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just any fundraiser. Like, this will directly sometimes be the difference between life and death.
It's nice to know as well, like, that other people are, like, willing to get involved and willing to try and help, whether it is just donating with, or, like, how much money, that kind of thing. We've had loads of people message us, like, if you need any help with cooking food or, like, giving it out or anything like that, or they've got spare clothes or duvets or pillows. Like, it's just really nice that the community is coming together. In such a scary time in the world as it is, people are still willing to go that extra mile to help people who are vulnerable with causes like this.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, you've definitely done it at the right time, I think. with everything.
Yeah. I think, like, you know, when things are its toughest in the world, like we've got a pandemic that we've lived through for nearly a year now, like the vulnerabilities of our communities are really highlighted. And, you know, actually, me and Grace are really lucky. We've got jobs we can work from home. We've got a roof over our heads, you know, food in our bellies. And, you know, thankfully, that's the majority of society right now. But it really brings home the people that don't have those luxuries. Like we've said before, homelessness is a pandemic in itself. Like these
100%.
people can't follow government guidance. They can't stay at home because they've got no home. They can't practice good hygiene because they don't have a bathroom to do that in. You know, we're all so lucky. And I think doing the sleep out has definitely raised awareness of the realities of it. And we just hope that by doing it, you know, maybe people won't be so keen to just walk past a rough sleeper now. Like even just engaging them in a conversation and asking how they are would mean the absolute world to them.
Like we've met so many characters, haven't we? We've met so many different like personalities, different like passions that they have. Like we've got one guy who's incredible at drawing. Absolutely
incredible
artist. Like insane, such a good artist. And he will just sit there day by day. Obviously can't really do anything else, but the money he gets given 9 times out of 10 goes to like gel pens or like notepads and things like that. And he'll just sit and do all of these incredible sketches. And like they're the kind of people that people tend to just like walk past because they are like a homeless community. But if you just stop 5 minutes and just get to know them, like it will just change your whole opinion on
a human being. You know, if we take it back down to its basics, you know, we are all living the same thing right now. Like we are all human beings surviving in a pandemic. And actually being a bit kinder to each other goes so far.
So can people still donate to the local giving page if they want?
Yep, so the local giving page is going to be open until the 16th of February. So if anyone wants to get any last minute donations in, they've got until just after the weekend to do that. We hopefully should be putting a video together of all of our insights. So we videoed at intervals throughout the sleep out, just like how we felt and how it was going. So hopefully that video will be available soon. But yeah, so, you know, if anyone watches that and feels like they'd like to donate, then it'll be open for another week.